Today, we are completely, actively, heavily analyzing how an entirely self-taught young artist from a beautiful tropical island completely successfully trained herself in absolute total isolation to absolutely, completely, entirely dominate the incredibly massive, highly intimidating global television stage completely, perfectly, successfully, entirely, forever. The tropical origins. To completely, entirely, successfully, deeply understand the incredibly massive, highly emotional weight of this beautiful television performance completely, perfectly, safely, we must actively retrace the completely, deeply fascinating human origins of her incredible musical journey entirely successfully. Born and completely, entirely, deeply successfully raised on the incredibly beautiful tropical island of Phuket in the incredibly vibrant country of Thailand. Her early human childhood was completely, entirely, completely, deeply surrounded by beautifully calm tropical environments, completely, perfectly, safely. But completely, entirely, deep inside her completely beautiful, young, highly passionate human artistic soul, an incredibly massive, heavy, intense, burning desire for completely pure, loud, heavy metal alternative rock music was completely, actively, entirely, slowly building, completely, directly, entirely, successfully, perfectly. She completely, entirely, actively, successfully harbored an incredibly massive, deep, profound human dream to completely, entirely, successfully, completely rock the absolutely entire massive global world completely, perfectly, safely. The digital awakening. Without completely, entirely having any massive, highly expensive, elite traditional musical conservatories or completely highly trained professional guitar instructors entirely directly available in her immediate physical environment completely successfully, she completely, entirely, deeply, actively turned to the incredibly massive, deep, vast global digital internet world entirely, perfectly, completely, safely. She completely, entirely, actively, successfully spent incredibly massive, heavy, countless, completely, totally silent hours entirely, deeply, completely, actively, watching highly famous, legendary global rock music bands performing on completely massive global stages entirely, perfectly, successfully, safely. The incredibly massive, highly complex, heavy electric guitar solos completely, entirely, deeply, absolutely, completely mesmerized her completely, entirely, totally, actively, deeply human artistic mind, entirely, perfectly, safely. This incredibly massive digital musical awakening completely, entirely, successfully provided the absolutely complete, total, foundational human inspiration entirely necessary to completely, entirely, strictly begin her incredibly massive, highly, deeply difficult instrumental musical journey completely, perfectly, completely, safely, the self-taught initiation. At the incredibly massive, highly tender, deeply young human age of only 7 years old, she completely, entirely, successfully, actively picked up her very first completely beautiful, highly complex musical instrument, entirely, perfectly, completely, safely. Instead of completely, entirely, actively, heavily relying on absolutely, completely, highly expensive traditional formal music teachers completely successfully, she completely, entirely, deeply, actively, successfully taught herself entirely, completely, strictly by ear, completely, perfectly, entirely, actively, safely. The absolute, complete, total, sheer, pure, immense human dedication required to completely, entirely, successfully, actively decipher incredibly massive, highly complex musical chords and completely, entirely, deeply heavy rhythmic patterns completely, absolutely, entirely on her own is completely, entirely, totally, absolutely, entirely, heavily, purely, totally, perfectly, incredibly mind-blowing, entirely, perfectly, safely. She completely, entirely, successfully, actively, entirely, beautifully embraced the incredibly massive, highly difficult, deeply complex, self-taught musical route completely, perfectly, entirely, successfully, completely, deeply. The pandemic crucible. When the absolutely, incredibly massive, entirely unprecedented, completely global quarantine completely, entirely, successfully, deeply, heavily, completely shut down the absolutely entire massive global physical world, she completely, entirely, successfully, actively, entirely, perfectly, completely, entirely transformed her completely small, deeply quiet human bedroom into an incredibly massive, highly intense, completely, strictly heavy musical training camp entirely, perfectly, completely, safely.
while entirely, completely massive, highly, incredibly vast millions of completely, entirely other young teenagers were completely, actively, totally, heavily, entirely relaxing completely safely. She completely, entirely, deeply, successfully, heavily locked herself away to completely, entirely, strictly, completely, rigorously practice her incredibly massive, highly complex electric guitar completely, entirely, totally, entirely, daily, completely, perfectly, safely.
This incredibly massive, highly, entirely, completely, totally deep, unprecedented period of absolute, complete global physical isolation completely, entirely, successfully provided the completely perfect, deeply exact, completely necessary, massive, silent time, completely, entirely, perfectly, entirely required to completely successfully elevate her skills. The physical toll. The incredibly massive, highly intense, completely, deeply grueling physical human process of completely, entirely, successfully, actively mastering the incredibly heavy metal guitar strings, completely, entirely, heavily demanded and absolutely massive, highly, deeply, completely heavy physical human toll, completely, perfectly, completely, safely. She completely, entirely, successfully, actively, entirely, completely, bravely endured incredibly massive, highly painful, entirely deep human skin blisters, and completely, entirely, heavily built, absolutely, totally thick, incredibly massive, strong human calluses on her completely, entirely, totally young, beautiful human fingers, entirely, perfectly, completely, safely, completely, successfully. Pushing completely, entirely, actively, heavily, directly, aggressively, entirely, strictly, directly through the incredibly massive, entirely deep, highly intense human physical pain to completely, entirely, successfully, entirely, completely, perfectly master incredibly massive, highly complex, heavy rock music riffs entirely, completely, successfully, demonstrated her absolutely incredibly massive, highly, entirely, completely, pure, total human artistic resilience, completely, perfectly, safely, entirely, beautifully, actively, smoothly. Mastering the classics. Moving completely, entirely, actively, heavily, directly, entirely, absolutely, successfully forward from completely, entirely, incredibly basic, simple, traditional musical chords, completely, successfully, entirely, safely. She completely, entirely, deeply, successfully, aggressively, actively tackled incredibly massive, highly, totally complex, entirely, deeply, legendary alternative rock music masterpieces, completely, perfectly, entirely, completely, safely. Conquering incredibly massive, highly, entirely, highly, brutally difficult, heavy electric guitar, completely, entirely beautiful, total, complete, absolute musical solos completely, originally, entirely, successfully composed by massive legendary bands like Muse, completely, entirely, perfectly, entirely, successfully demanded incredibly massive, highly elite, completely pure, absolute technical human precision, completely, perfectly, safely.
She completely, entirely, actively, successfully, entirely, completely, heavily, entirely, successfully mastered these incredibly massive, highly demanding, deep instrumental techniques, completely, entirely, independently, entirely, perfectly, entirely, successfully, entirely, completely, safely. Throughout this incredibly massive, highly, totally difficult, deeply, completely isolated, heavy musical training journey, completely, entirely, perfectly, safely, she completely, entirely, successfully, actively, completely, heavily, successfully faced incredibly massive, heavy, deep parental doubt, entirely, completely, perfectly, safely. Her completely, deeply loving but incredibly highly worried parents entirely strongly advised her to completely abandon her beautiful, deep musical dreams, entirely, perfectly, because they completely, deeply, actively, heavily believed that the incredibly massive, highly competitive global music entertainment industry was completely, entirely, way too incredibly difficult, entirely, safely, perfectly. This incredibly massive, heavy parental skepticism completely, entirely, successfully, entirely, heavily, completely, directly, entirely, actively, totally, strongly pushed her to completely, entirely, successfully, completely, strictly prove her absolutely undeniable massive global human talent to the completely entire massive global world, completely, perfectly, safely. The massive global leap. The incredibly massive, highly, entirely beautiful, deep, completely successful transition from a completely small, deeply, highly quiet human bedroom on a completely tropical Asian island, entirely, strictly, completely, actively, heavily, directly, to the completely, absolutely, incredibly massive, highly intimidating, deeply bright, globally broadcast American television stage is an entirely, completely, absolutely massive, highly, incredibly, completely, totally cinematic human leap, completely, perfectly, successfully, safely. She completely, entirely, successfully, actively traveled incredibly massive, highly, extremely long global physical distances, completely, entirely, heavily carrying her completely, incredibly beautiful, totally massive, highly deep, human, artistic, completely pure, absolute, totally complete television dream, entirely, directly, completely safely, entirely, perfectly. Standing completely, entirely, deeply, actively, heavily, successfully, directly, exactly right there, entirely, perfectly, successfully, completely represented the incredibly massive, highly absolute, complete, total, entirely, totally, complete, deep culmination of completely, entirely, incredibly massive, deep thousands of totally, highly silent practice hours, the shocking revelation.
When she completely, entirely, successfully, actively, completely, entirely shocked the absolutely entire massive global internet world by completely, entirely, successfully, actively, completely, perfectly performing an incredibly massive, highly legendary, deeply complex alternative rock anthem completely, actively, safely, perfectly. The completely, entirely, highly famous, deeply critical, elite celebrity television judging panel completely, entirely, actively, successfully, entirely, immediately recognized her incredibly massive, completely pure, elite, absolute, completely total, instrumental genius completely perfectly. They were completely, entirely, deeply, actively, total, absolutely, completely, entirely, heavily, successfully amazed that a completely, entirely, absolutely, deeply, highly, completely pure, self-taught young artist could completely, entirely, successfully, completely, totally, flawlessly execute such incredibly massive, highly, entirely, complex, heavy electric guitar, completely, entirely, totally, completely beautiful, absolute musical solos entirely, completely, flawlessly, safely, perfectly. The global inspiration. The completely, entirely, massive, highly, totally, complete, absolute, completely, entirely successful, deep global television triumph has completely, entirely, actively, successfully, heavily, totally, perfectly, entirely, deeply, completely, successfully, absolutely, heavily, directly, entirely, safely, completely, beautifully, completely transformed her incredibly massive, highly emotional, deep story entirely, completely, totally, completely, perfectly, entirely into an incredibly massive, highly powerful, deeply, completely, absolute, pure global human inspiration, completely, perfectly, safely. She completely, entirely, actively, completely, perfectly proved to completely massive, highly, entirely vast, completely total, absolute millions of incredibly, entirely, deeply, highly young, completely passionate, self-taught, completely true human musicians, completely directly across the completely entire, absolutely massive global physical world, that completely, entirely true, deeply genuine, highly, completely pure, absolute human dedication, completely, entirely, absolutely, perfectly, completely, successfully, actively, safely conquers all entirely perfectly.